If I make one more assertion out here with not contains, and I put in some other string over here. So basically the thing is I cannot add not contains again and again and contains again and again. Look, it will become very tough for us to manage this, right? Although it's very good, it's very powerful, you can give any tag name, anything which comes in the request you can give in out here, right? It's very rich, fine, but looking at the practical aspect that the kind of applications which we have are huge, like the kind of response we are getting over here is huge. Now, for example, I need to verify the name of every player. There are around, I don't know, maybe more than 300 players which are coming right now. So it will become tough, fine, it will become tough to use 300 contains assertions, fine, right? So this is another shortcoming. Okay, I'll come to everything. I'll come to everything. Now, another type of assertion is XPath match in property content. It is XPath and XQuery. Both of them are very strong, and both of them are a world in themselves, right? Okay, so coming over to the course, right? XPath assertions. Before that, I will talk about XPath in XMLs. For example, going back to the one version, that is the day one, that is the module 1 of SoapAI free version, fine. If I look at the request.xml which I had formed over here, then this is the request.xml. Okay, now I want to find the position of Harry in this XML file. So the position can be given to me with the help of XPath, right? The XPath would be something like this. Okay, XPath means the address of the element. Okay, technically, or in a very layman's term, you can say that XPath is equals to address, and XPath would be equal to / customer. You give the tag names. Inside the customer tag, there is a name tag. So this is the XPath for Harry. Fine. Or you can also give like this / name. This is also the XPath for Harry, right? Okay, basically XPath is nothing, it is made up of tag names. For example, going over to SoapUI, fine, this is SoapUI. If I write an XPath like this, that is, I start from the tag m:\all player names response. I start from here, right? Inside it, there is a tag called m:\all players result. Fine. Inside this, there is a tag called mt player names, and then in the end, you have a tag. This one m:\id. Now this is not a correct XPath, because if you observe carefully in your response, mt player name tag is repeating itself again and again, right? It repeats itself as many times as number of players. So if I give over here 1, that means the go inside the details for the first player and reach the ID tag. So this will represent the ID of the first player. Fine. Again, if I write like this, I give 2. This means get me the ID of the second player, right? Similarly, 3, get me the ID of the third player. Instead of ID tag, if I write over here s name, it will give me the name of the third player. Okay, so this is how you form XPaths. In case of matching tags, that means the tags which keep on repeating themselves, you can use numbers and you can form XPaths, right? Or if I write an XPath like this, I don't include a number, then this XPath will technically represent all the names in the document. Okay, this XPath will represent all the names in the document. Or if I technically write like this, that is, say if I write over here /ms name, so this will also represent all the s name tags in the document. Okay, this whole thing and this thing are same. Only thing is that this thing is starting from the root of the document and this is somewhere in the middle. So it will find all the tags, right? This will represent all the tags with this tag name, right? Okay. So this is what XPaths they kind of are made of. Sorry, this is how we make the XPaths, right? Now a very simple example, like suppose I want to verify whether the first value coming in this response, whether the first name in this response is Adam or not, right? Or the second name is equal to Adil, Rami or not, right? I really don't know how to pronunciate this thing, but I can pronunciate this, right? So I want to check whether the second name is equal to Adil, Rami or not, or I want to check whether the second country is France or not. If I undo this response and if I send the request again, then the position of the players it remains same. That means we are getting a consistent response. We are not getting a jumbled up response. Sometimes what happens is that the response might come jumbled up. Okay, we once send the request Adam is present in on the first location, right? When you again send the request, Adam can be present at the 15th location. So in order to, you can also validate that kind of stuff. But first, let us validate this static kind of stuff, that is, which is consistent in every request, right? Now, to validate this, we can use assertions again, and we have an assertion known as XPath match assertion, right? Now, how can we use this? You double click on it, and this kind of window will come up. In this window, right, you click on declare button over here. Okay, first of all, what is this window representing? Out here, we can give the XPath expression, and out here we can get the result. Okay, so hold on, I'll tell you. You first click on this button over here, declare. So this will declare the namespaces and all inside the XML. Fine. For example, in this XML, I'll save this session. M is the in your request. If you look at this, hold on. Yeah, this is the URL of the application, right? I'm declaring the namespace as M over here. That means this URL will be kind of represented by M. And if you look at this over here in the response, I have written the response is coming with M as the namespace, and everywhere I'm using M dot all play results. That means practically in a very layman's term, this URL from this URL all player name results, from that URL player name ID or something like that. Okay. Similarly, we'll click on the declare button and we'll declare the namespaces. Then I'll give my XPath expression. Fine. My XPath expression is suppose this one. I want to get the ID of the second record, right? From the second record, get me the ID. What is the ID of second record? It is 558. This is the first record over here. This is the second record. 558 is the ID of second record. So if I run this, if I click on select for current, no match in current. Hold on. Just a minute, guys. I think I am making a mistake. Okay, this is result. I missed out T over here. Okay, if I click on this, I'll get 588, which is present out here. Okay, right now if I click on select from test, it will give me the ID and all everything. Okay. Now if I remove this thing from here /mid and write select from, it will give me actually the complete XML under empty player names to whatever is the response it will give me. Okay. And suppose if I remove this thing as well and write select from current, it will say that it's an invalid because there's a very big thing below it, right? The response is very big, right? If you write select from current, it will give you the XML. Okay, fine. Okay, hold on. Right, let me delete this, delete everything. Fine. But I'm not testing anything over here. I'm just getting the value out of the tags and I'm printing the value. Right. Again, if I make an XPath, I'll save this document in version 3 as notes.txt. Fine. Now in this, if I copy this XPath again and I put this XPath and instead of MID I write MS name. So this will print the name. Okay. And okay. Now again the disadvantage is that about this thing, if I give two XPaths, I cannot give two XPaths. I cannot write ID over here and name over here and click select. I get an error. You have to give one XPath in one XPath assertion, right? Okay. Now suppose out here I'm just clicking on this button select from current. This is for only our testing purpose. That is what is the current value coming up. In order to actually test this, you can click on this text button over here. Okay. If you click on this test button, this will present with you the result, that is response matches content for this. That means the response is matching. So out here you have to actually place the expected content and click on the test button and this will tell you whether it is passing or failing. Select from current will actually give you the value at the current location in the current response. Okay. You can click on save on this button and this XPath assertion would be saved. If you run this thing now and the SOAP request will go, response will come up and all the assertions will be executed and they are passing. So when the response come up, automatically all the assertions are executed. Okay, so this assertion is also executed. If I give some wrong expected result over here and if I run this, so the request will go, response will come and you will get an error over here. I'm getting the error, right? Okay, so the problem which I want to tell you out here is again that if you have got multiple tags, like over here in the response I have got a lot of things coming up, then I will face issues by using this kind of assertions. I'll have to use one assertion per XPath, right? What if I have to validate all the names? In this assertion, I can, in this XPath expression, I can just give one XPath. I cannot give more than one XPath. If I have to give some other XPath, make one more XPath assertion. You save this one and then click on one more assertion, XPath match, and use that one. You declare it and then you give the XPath. From the second player, suppose I want to check the ID. So now you can make use of the second one, right? Okay. So in repetition of stuff is there like we had in contains and not contains. Okay. Now in XPath assertion out here, you can use XPath functions. That is the advantage. Okay. What do you mean by XPath functions? Well, if you go to Google and you type over here XPath functions. You will get this link, Xpath, Xquery, XSLT function reference and all. So it's a world in itself, right? There are various number of functions which can be used with Xpath. Okay, so for example, I'll talk about a function like count, right? Like I told you in this thing, this kind of Xpath is Xpath which represents all the names, right? Or let us take this Xpath. This Xpath represents all the tags as named in the document, right? So if I go into SOAP UI and I type over here count, and in the bracket, round brackets, I give the Xpath. So I give the Xpath like m:/sn. So it will count all the tags with this particular Xpath. And if I click on select current, it will write 368. So there are 368 sname tags inside this particular document, right? Hold on. Okay. Now I'll just cut this and put it out here. So this is one of the Xpath functions which you can use, right? Similarly, if I want to check whether an Xpath is valid or not, whether the Xpath exists or not, fine. For example, I want to check whether this Xpath is existing or not, fine. So calculation of value will come later on, but first I will check whether a particular Xpath is existing or not. For that we have an inbuilt Xpath function called as exists. In this function you pass over the Xpaths and it is hold on, I don't know, hold on just a minute. I'll copy this again, I'll copy paste this, and exists function will be used, and when I run this it prints true, fine. So that means this Xpath is existing. If I give some Xpath which is not existing, it will return false. So the validation of Xpath, whether a particular Xpath is present or not, or a particular tag is present or not, you can use this thing, right? So for example, if my requirement is that say I want to, hold on, I'll just cut this and put it in the notes, fine. Now for example, my requirement is that I need to check whether the name tag or ID tag is existing in the first record or not, fine. So I can use the same exists and I can use it instead of sname, I can use it ID in the first record. So when you write this, it returns true. So you can click on test icon will actually test it from the expected result. In the expected result, if I write false and I test it, the assertion will actually fail, fine. So you can check the existence of the Xpath as well, fine. These are some of the commonly used Xpath functions. Look, there are n number of Xpath functions. These functions can be used while using automation tools like Selenium as well. Okay, these are Xpath functions. Okay, these can be used with Xpaths. Now one of the important, like starts with, ends with or something, one of the important functions is matches. Matches function can actually match your result to a regular expression or something, fine. For example, in this whole thing, I want to check whether the name of the player should only contain English letters, fine. I want to test this, so I can use an assertion over here, Xpath math assertion, right, for name check, and declare the namespace. Then I can give the function matches. In matches function, you give the string and the pattern. Right? In string, you will actually give the Xpath. Right? Xpath would be something like this. That is, suppose the name of the first player, okay, comma the pattern with which you want to make it, you want to compare it. For example, right now it is Adam. Fine. You copy this full name and you paste this name here. Okay. Click on select from current, it returns true. That means the name it matches. Right. If I put something in the end, it will return me false. Right. But checking it in a regular expression pattern, remember the regular expression video, right? Now in this you can write over here A to Z any number of times. That means the name should match this pattern. Now this pattern represents that the name can contain alphabets, whether capital or small, whatever it is, and you run this. It gives me invalid. Hold on. 1 minute, I'll just remake it. A to Z, and yeah, it's working fine. So it returns true. That means the name it is having alphabets, English alphabets. Fine. So this is, I'll just store it over here. You can use matches as well. You can use regular expressions inside the Xpath, right, to compare the values of the Xpath and all. Instead of this, if I write over here /d, that means digit. Now digits are not present, so it will return false. Name, it does not contain digits. But what is in digits? The ID is in digits. 16 is the ID over here. Fine. So you can write over here ID. Okay, so if you run this, it will present true. That means yes, ID is a digit. Now the length of the digit, how long should the digit, how long should a digit be? Right. For example, 16 is over here, 588 is over here, 17 is over here. Right. So player ID, I will say that it can vary from 2 to 3 digits. It cannot be of 1 digit and it cannot be of 4 digits. It can be of either 2 or 3 digits. Right. So I can put a validation over here in curly braces that minimum 2 comma maximum 4. That means a digit, but the length of the digit should be minimum 2 and maximum 3. Sorry. And when you select it, it's true. Test anything. Right. For 1 also, it is showing true because minimum is like 1. When I'm writing minimum 1, then 2, the length is 2, it will be valid, right? So you write 2 over here and it will come up. Fine. So these kind of functions, regular expressions and all will be used. Later on I'll in some time I'll take up the, what you say, the response from the other application, which is my localhost retail application, and with the help of regular expression I'll also validate the session ID and all. So you will come to know. But if you look at these functions over here, now there are a number of functions. Depending on your requirement, you can use these functions. This is the URL. Okay, this is the URL from where you can use these Xpath functions. So now coming over to the module content, right? I talked about contains, not contains assertions. I talked about Xpaths and all, how to use Xpaths, regular expressions in Xpaths. Fine. Now let's talk about XQuery. right? Before I talk about xquery, again I repeat the practicality of using property content XPath match is like it's not practical to use this in the real-time applications because you cannot have so many assertions again repeating themselves that maintenance of the code becomes so tough, right? Later on we will be studying about an assertion known as script assertion. This is a Groovy script assertion. So all these things which we are doing here, right, in XPath and all and contained and all, these can be done in Groovy scripting as well. With the help of Groovy scripting, you can actually validate the XPaths in a better way. Okay, so right, let's come over to xquery match now.